call this meeting of the Edgewood Town Council for September 23rd to order. Start with Pledge of Allegiance. Find the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and the Zia symbol for perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, Council, the first item is approval of the agenda, and I don't have any changes tonight, so I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve.
Hold on. Juan's right. Let's do a quick roll call of everybody that's here. Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
Councilor Jaramillo.
I'm here.
Councilor Holly.
Here.
Councilor Abraham.
I'm here.
So we got a full house tonight. Okay, the first item then is approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve this evening's agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve tonight's agenda. Start here, Councilor Holly.
Aye.
Councilor Abraham.
Aye.
Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
And Councilor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Okay, the next item then is the consent agenda. We've got a number of council meeting minutes and reports on the agenda for tonight. I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Mr. Mayor, I move.
Just a couple questions and comments on the consent agenda. I don't necessarily need to remove them to remove them. I just would like to discuss them after we approve the consent agenda, or before, whatever
Yeah,
you please.
let's go ahead with the motion, then we can discuss them.
Mayor, I did want to ask us a couple of minutes that I asked for changes, that we could discuss those separately.
We can. Have we got a motion?
I was trying to.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda using the originally drafted minutes for July 22nd, July 29th, and September 9th for the town council as drafted by the clerk treasurer.
We got a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve tonight's consent agenda using the original minutes for July 22nd, 29th, and September 9th, 2020, as written by the clerk treasurer. Do a roll call vote.
Wait.
No.
Is that the minutes we have in our packet?
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead and discuss it.
Okay. My discussion is on July the 22nd. It reflects in those minutes that I thanked Carlo for saying she will give us wastewater reports once again. And I just wanted to make a comment that was July 22nd, and we've had 2 months since then and still no report from the wastewater department.
We're going to try to have something in the next one.
Okay, will we be getting them monthly? That is my concern.
Probably, but it's going to be an abbreviated report. It's not going to have all the stuff until the quarterly ones.
Okay, but it will tell us, like, if anything is broken, if we had any spills.
We'll try to get something like that into it.
Spills.
We'll try to get something like that into it.
Have been made. Okay, the other thing I had was on with the road department. It says that a culvert was installed. Can you tell me where or when?
On Cody Road. On Cody Road.
Okay, all right. It might be helpful if we have stuff like that, if they could just make that note in there as well.
Okay.
And my final comment was the police report. it looks like either our citizens are being extremely good, or we had no full moon last month or something, because the calls were almost half of what they typically are.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say, yay, citizens, for behaving.
Okay. Counselor Jaramillo, you've got some comments.
Yes, so, on the minutes for 9:23, I just wanted to add, the two comments that I had emailed to Juan. And then there's one for Counselor Abraham, but if we don't want to, if she doesn't care, we don't need to put that one in.
Counselor, tonight's the 23rd. We don't have any minutes yet for this meeting. Which meeting are you referring to?
Sorry, I guess I got the date wrong on that, but it was the last meeting, the very last meeting.
That
So I guess it was it the 9th?
September 9th?
Right. So on my comments, I just said the part that was missing from my comments altogether was the part that said we needed to explore a private partnership for water treatment, and the public comments confirmed that night and that I had an IPRA request for something like 27-to-1 public emails, and the meeting was against EPCOR. And I said we needed to stop this past bleeding the town's money and explore something the public may actually want. So on the P3, that part needs to go into my comments. The only other thing of mine on those minutes was that I had stated the public had made it clear from the comments that night and previous actually, that they're not in favor of residential sewers, so we should not have that anywhere on the list.
Well, Counselor, we don't do verbatim minutes. I looked over the stuff for the other meetings and everything looked good in there.
Are you talking about the black box thing that's in our packet?
Yes.
So you guys are okay with that, with those changes being added in?
Well, they didn't need to be made. There was stuff already and all of that.
Yeah, that's all in there.
Yeah, that's all in there.
I didn't see that in the motion and the decisions that we made.
No, it's in there. We hunted all of it up. Your figures, stuff that you were talking about, the motor grader and that, we found all that in there.
Because, for example, the youth programming and the software upgrade, I didn't think were included in the motion.
No, but they're in the minutes and it was in there.
But it needs to be in the motion, right?
Well, it wasn't in the motion, but it was in the stuff that was done.
Well, Counselor Abrams did put it in the motion. But it's just that the minutes didn't show those two things.
Well, it may not be in there verbatim like that, but it's in here and it got carried over into everything else.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if it's not in the motion there, it's in the verbiage here in the minutes. We found everything that you'd put down in that thing. Youth program, salary study, trail 344 Venus, it's all in there.
So, Counselor Abrams, maybe you can help me just understand. Your motion included the upgrade for finance and then also the youth programming, because you mentioned that in your words. So doesn't that need to be amended in your motion?
No, the motion's already been made, but it's in here, it's been done. It's in the minutes, it's been done, it's good to go.
I'm satisfied with the way the minutes read currently.
So,
And I think we ought to just move forward and get on with the show here. I don't think there's need for terribly much discussion. I've stated in the past that meeting minutes are a summary of our discussion. We've got the audio if you need to review it. It's available for everybody publicly, and we've got years and years and years worth of video, or audio at least. Now video as well. So, you know, I don't see any reason why we should belabor it. I mean, we've already been told numerous times, previous councils, many previous councils, in fact, and we're going over ground we've covered before. So I think we ought to move on.
I have just a comment. I understand meeting minutes aren't verbatim. I understand that. But I do believe motions that are made should be recorded verbatim. Is that what you're saying, Councilor Jaramillo? Is that the motion wasn't stated verbatim?
Right. So we know just from parliamentary procedures training and from everything that the attorneys tell us, you know, the motions are really, you have to be really precise with those and get those as they were said. So I just wanted to make sure that those two items were in there. And then also we know from the training that if counselors want something to be stated for the record, that's perfectly fine. So for me, you know, I just wanted in there about residential sewer and the P3 opportunity, because I didn't understand why that was completely left out. So it's a reasonable request. I mean, I'm just asking for the motion to be complete. And then for, in the budget meeting, Councilor Hawley, in the budget meeting, the motion was not complete in the minutes.
But everything that you talked about was captured.
No, it wasn't captured in the minutes. Councilor Abrams said those two things, but they didn't get into the minutes. Motion. It's a motion.
I understand what you're saying, but it was captured in the minutes and it's in everything else.
So Mayor, you know that it's important to have the motions as they were stated, right?
Right? That's why I usually restate them. But everything you had on your list got caught and captured in the minutes.
He said, in other words, let me see if I'm making sense here, in a different direction here. Councilor Abrams said two items that didn't make it in his motion inside the minutes.
Everything on that list got captured in the minutes.
Apparently she thinks the motion was stated not the way it was on the audio. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, is that in his motion, he referenced to the finance upgrade in the programs, the youth programs. So, but they're not stated in the minutes, so I just want to make sure that we're reflecting what the motion actually was.
We can try to do a little better job on future motions, but everything that's on that list got captured in there. Okay, council, we've got a motion and a second. Let's call for the vote. And Councilor Abrams?
Aye.
Councilor Jaramillo?
Nay.
Councilor Abraham?
Nay.
Councilor Hawley?
It's very important we capture at least motions word for word.
Understood.
To be
Councilor Hawley?
reflected in our minutes.
How do you vote?
I said aye.
Got a tie vote here, so the mayor votes aye to approve it. Next item then, discussion items. First up is public comment. Give me just a minute here to get my stuff set up. Okay, members of the public wishing to speak, go ahead and give me your name.
Tom McGill. This is Jerry Powers. This is Jerry Powers.
I got you. Anybody else?
Linda Kaiser.
Anybody else?
Martha Edith.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, then let's go with that. First up is Tom McGill.
Thank you. Tom McGill, 12 Buck Road. I'm noting that once again, there's no report to the council in the packet. There's no new data on the website. The third quarter is coming to an end, and we don't know the condition of a problematic waste plant for 3 months. I would like to point out that NMED is not the operational control for Edgewood Waste Plant. How it runs is the responsibility of the people in this meeting. If someone gets sick due to criminal neglect, it'll almost certainly first fall on a town employee. The blame will go to the town administrator. Is there anyone in this meeting willing to say, I am responsible? The mayor says he's nominally responsible. That leaves, as far as I can tell, Councilor John Abrams, who is mayor pro tem and an elected official. The town administrator has to be either elected or qualified, and we have no qualified people. So as an elected official, I'm wondering, are you responsible? You told the public that you were very knowledgeable about the history and workings of the plant. So I guess it sounds like you should be the administrator. I would point out that failure that results in grievous bodily harm is a Class 2 felony. If you are not responsible, then who is? The EPA has their own requirements for reporting the discharge of contaminated water. I'm wondering if you've looked into that and seen if you qualify for that. I'm asking that you take responsibility, all of you.
Hold on, one at a time, one at a time. Go ahead.
I'm asking that the governing body take responsibility for monthly reports with data, no excuses. I would like to define the responsibility of who's in charge.
Hold on, one at a time, Tom McGill speaking. Let him finish speaking. Go ahead,
Yes,
Mr.
I'm asking
McGill.
for the governing body to take formal responsibility. I would like monthly reports with data to the principal stakeholders, which are the citizens. I don't like all these excuses. I want you to define the responsibility of who is in charge until we actually get a town manager. And I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Next up's Jerry Powers.
I want to echo that concern that Mr. McGill just voiced regarding monthly reports to the council. There's too much time that can pass when there's an emergency at the plant where something needs to happen. My other comments are, I've noticed the budget has about $1.8 million in excess cash now, or cash reserve. And I know that the people that voted in the special election voted for a change in the behavior of the town government. I'm noticing that no roads had been paved and no trails in the last 5 years. Councilor Abrams has been talking about it, but nothing has really happened. So I'm suggesting now is an opportunity to listen to the people that voted for a change in behavior and spend this money on things that the town really wants, like roads and trails, rather than on EPCOR legal fees, which the town has expressed their displeasure with over 2 years ago at the only meeting that we've ever had on it. There hasn't been a public meeting. So I'd like to call for a public meeting as well on the EPCOR matter before any more money is spent on it. As regarding the wastewater plant, I agree with Mr. McGill that there could be some serious liability, and I would like to see, I don't see any reason why we can't have monthly reports to the council. The entire governing body is responsible and should know what's happening. They can't take responsibility without knowing. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Next person is Karen Kaiser.
Good evening. I called to speak to the money spent in the financial report that's in your packet this evening. I believe it covers the month of August. And Mayor Bassett, I know your desire was to lower legal fees, and here we've spent another $21,000 in the month of August. I just think for a small town, I know that if you do the same monthly, that's like $250,000 a year in legal fees. I hope that sounds crazy to all of you. That's a ridiculous waste of money. $12,767 of it was spent on EPCOR, and I feel like a broken record every month calling in saying, please stop spending money on EPCOR until you at least have some public hearings and make a decision to move forward. Councilor Abrams, I think you're the one that's been there the longest, and I know you're well versed on the Open Meetings Act. You cannot make decisions in closed session, but yet we've never had an open public meeting. So with what permission do you keep spending money on this relentless pursuit of EPCOR? And I'm figuring, Councilor Abrams, you were in the room. You know, it probably predates Holly and had a meal, but if you agreed in a closed session just to appraise a property, I don't know how a couple $100,000 later you still feel you have permission to be spending the town's money. I would honestly consider that the town, could you consider hiring a different law firm? Because you're spending an awful lot of money to not get very good advice. I got an opinion against the town on Open Meetings Act violations, but yet you were following the advice of Randy Odio. Now, in the recent special meeting, Marcus Rael told the mayor, don't recuse yourself, even though you're the defendant. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. I know for less money, you could find better legal advice. It happened again with the election, the special election. William Czar told you you could have it in November. Well, the Secretary of State told you, no, Mr. Czar was mistaken. November was not an option. So my first request would be pay less money on lawyers. Just you're all capable of reading the basic New Mexico law yourself. But if you're going to pay lawyers, at least please pay some that give you good legal advice. If I still have any time, not to pick on you, Councilor Abrams.
Ma'am, you've used it up. Thank you. Next person up is Martha Eden.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I noticed on the August financials, there was $29,000 in expenses for a wastewater treatment plant, various categories. Some easy to understand, some not. If you take the environmental gross receipts tax revenue out of the number for the wastewater treatment plant revenue, the $29,000 is very close to an annual revenue amount at the wastewater treatment plant. This is an outrageous financial money pit, quite frankly, and I don't see how taking over the water system is going to make a whole lot of difference. I think you feel like you'll make some profit there, and you'll be able to donate that to the wastewater treatment plant. But if you run the water system with the same lack of attention to detail with which you approach the wastewater treatment plant, both systems will lose massive amounts of money. Our town deserves a lot better than that. We've certainly voted to let you know. This is a path we do not want to go down. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who didn't sign up originally and wants to sign up now?
Yes, Mayor Linda Burke from the Chamber.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to remind everybody that this Saturday, the 26th, we'll be doing our 5th annual Bust and Clays tournament out at Founders Ranch with all the appropriate social distancing mechanisms. We have a few slots open. If anyone's interested in signing up, they can contact me at the chamber. Also, the chamber networking currently is, our monthly meeting is online, and it will continue to be that way until the governor lifts the restrictions on group gatherings. So I did want you all to know we are still doing that. It's just via Zoom, and that does go out to all of our members. And then this Saturday is the free dumpster day out at the soccer field for the town of Edgewood putting on, and it's from 10 to 4. I did want to mention that I got a number of calls or comments online from people after the one in August stating that the gates were closed early. They were closed by 3 o'clock. And I can only assume that that's because the dumpsters probably were full. So hopefully we have a larger quantity or capacity available this time, because the community certainly seems to be responding to the opportunity to dispose of items. And so thank you for doing that. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Linda. Is there anybody else wish to speak? If not, we'll move on along to next item, which is matters from the counselors. First up is Counselor Abraham. Counselor, go ahead.
Mayor, so some of the comments that I heard today are the comments that we keep hearing over and over and over and over. I just want to know, there was a good question asked tonight. Who is responsible for our waste plant? Is that you?
I assume it's everybody on the governing body.
Okay, except that when I went up and tried to get information, I was chastised. So because of that, I have never talked to anybody about what's going on with our waste plant since then, simply because I'm afraid to. I had a very nasty letter written to somebody making sure that they knew they were not to talk to me anymore. So my comment, Mayor, then is if everybody but me is responsible for the wastewater plant, then I need you guys to really get us information in a timely manner, not 3 months later, not 6 months later. I mean, I know right now we're in the process of reapplying for our permit. What's happening with that?
Don't even know.
What's happening with the fact that we still, do we have the pad built? Are we no longer in violation of our groundwater quality permit? Are we able to use the water on the roads yet?
No, not on that yet. He doesn't want to use that yet.
Okay, then we should know why. The public should know why. And those are my concerns. I ask for these reports, I get told we'll have them, and yet they're still not here. Somebody, Mayor, has to be in charge of having staff follow up on the things that we decide at these council meetings. We do need to have an EPCOR meeting. We do need to have, some qualifications, as I know that money continues to be spent on legal fees for EPCOR, yet we have no update as to on what. We're the governing body. We deserve that. So those are my comments tonight. I think the governing body is being cheated of information we need to do our jobs well. And I don't know if the other councilors feel like that. I don't know, Linda Hawley, if you feel like you have the information you need to make good, valid decisions that the citizens want, or you, Councilor Abrams, or you, Councilor Jaramillo, but I do not. And so that's my concern. Thank you and have a good evening.
Councilor Abrams?
I don't know exactly how to follow that one. I'm waiting for information to make decisions. I don't have information to make decisions, and no decisions that I know of have been made without any information. So, you know, here we are. I am rather happy to see that there is movement finally after, let's see, when was that? 2009, 10? 12? I'm really happy to see now that we're 8 years past the resolution that asked for road design standards, that we're actually going to move forward on something. Councilor Abraham, if you have any inkling of how long it has been that I have been working on that, you know, that can give you a clue as to information and decisions and the advice and consent of our hired people versus what we can find out for ourselves versus how long it takes to get things going. I believe once upon a long time ago, Councilor Felton said something to the effect that government works slowly because sometimes decisions, if they're made too rapidly, have a tendency to blow up on you. I don't think that's verbatim. I think that's a summary. And I'll leave it at that and pass it on.
That would be Counselor Holly.
Okay, this evening I thought I would just pull out a few details from some of the reports that we received in our packet for this meeting. I know I've been feeling during this COVID pandemic that business isn't as efficient as it used to be, and I just wanted to share with the citizens, I think our town staff is doing a great job. In the planning and zoning report for the month of August, there were 18 entries, and all but 2 of those were for development review. So I'm heartened to see that people are coming in with their plans and things are moving forward in Edgewood. As far as the code enforcement report goes, there were a total of 6 business licenses issued in the month of August, and there are 50 properties in progress under the code enforcement watchdog. One thing that I noticed in the police department report, I was very impressed to see that the response time has dropped by 3.5 minutes since last month. They're showing the response time for the month of August as 4 minutes and 48 seconds. So I think that was a tremendous efficiency there on our officers' part. And this was something too that surprised me in the animal control department report. Volunteer monthly hours for August were 120. So, you know, people are getting out and lending a hand and trying to get back to some sort of normalcy. And then I was pleased to see a road department report. This is the first one under our new supervisor. And in the report, it was noted that about 30 miles of gravel road had been bladed and 250 tons of base course material had been used. And something that was brought to my attention that I wasn't aware of is that the police department's parking area is being expanded. So I appreciate these reports and thank our staff for doing such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Jaramillo.
Right, just want to thank everybody who's participating. And Mayor, I did want to ask you all again if we could share the link for the GoToMeeting or do Zoom perhaps that could stream directly to Facebook, because what's happening is I've had complaints over, let's see, last meeting, there was a community member who never got unmuted, so he wasn't able to say his public comment, so that's a violation of the open meetings. And then the meeting with the fire code ordinance, that meeting, I had 3 different people tell me that they were not able to state their comments. And so I think it's really ridiculous that we have to keep leaving these people on the phone like this because it's not necessary. We actually, and I know, Councilor Abrams, you have to be on all these Zoom calls like I am. It is so much more efficient because you can see each other and not everybody's talking all over each other, and then some people get muted, and yes, sometimes, you know, you interrupt each other, but at least you can, you know, see. In this instance, what's happening is people are actually not being allowed to participate by accident. And so that is, you know, that's a violation. So I would like us to please share the link, so that everyone could have this remote meeting normally. Unless we're going to go back to, you know, the town hall. So that is my request again, so that I can hear people and see everyone. I wanted to find out if we had lost any officers. A community member also reached out to me and said that they heard a rumor that we were losing 5 officers. And so I didn't know if that happened or not.
We've had an officer go on a National Guard deployment. Another one
had a baby.
Another one had a baby. He's on the Family Medical Leave Act. That's it for now. Yeah.
Okay, so they didn't go over to Santa Fe County then?
No, nobody's went over to Santa Fe County. If there's something in the works, we'll let you know about it. But right now, other than the Family Medical Leave Act and the Guard deployment, that's it.
Okay. I remember during the budget session, actually, you guys brought up that 3 of them were thinking of leaving and that, you know, the raise was important. So I'm hoping that they're happy still. So, okay. Then I wanted to ask that we have, actually, I think I asked Juan to pull council if we could have a meeting regarding town hall. And then I wanted an update on the districting, which Juan will probably give us in a minute here. And I wanted to ask if we could get roads on the agenda, you know, from the budget meeting, how we talked about after the quarter, and then the new director in place. Your dog is so cute. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by this little puffs of hair here. He's precious. Anyway, so getting the roads on the agenda would be great, and so that we can take a look at that. And then the sewer report as well. I just, you know, it's really hard to be patient because, you know, months and months and months go by without these reports that are promised. And like Sherry has already said, and the community has already said, it is, you know, it's up to us to be looking at these things and knowing what's going on and being able to answer the community's questions. So the sewer report, I think, I mean, it is its own department. It needs to be done monthly like every other report. And that is what Carla had told us that night, that the operator was online with us. I remember, you know, that she was saying that she could give us a monthly report. So then my question is, you know, certainly Carla is not intentionally not giving us a report. So
She's not, she just didn't get it in.
I have to ask the question, Mayor, are you telling her not to give us a report?
No, I'm not telling her that. She just didn't get it in there.
Well, then is she just not doing that?
No, we'll try to have something next month.
Well, it's one or the other. Either she's being told not to do it or she's just purposely not doing it. One or the other.
No, it isn't. Go ahead.
It has to be one of those. So I would just ask that you handle that, Mayor, so that we can have our reports like we've been promised. And then also I would like to hear from the operator himself. He seemed to have a pretty good knowledge of what was going on and what needed to happen, and that would be great to hear from him. And then, as far as the minutes go and that motion, it's really bothering me because I don't understand why you guys wouldn't want the P3 to be noted in there. So, like, why would you see? And this goes back to when I was saying at the last meeting, we have to really listen, really listen to what the community is saying, because look at this community group's name. It's called Citizens for an Open and Responsible Edgewood or Transparent or something, right? And they keep asking for transparency and openness and responsible. Okay, well, then look at what happens. Then they can't get reports. Councilor Abraham can't get information she requests and has to IFRA it, or, all these different things. And so for me, putting in the minutes something that's a very key issue of a private partnership, public partnership, for something the community wants, that's important, you guys. And so I just don't understand the resistance to some of these things. And it's not being transparent. That's not what is, So it's very confusing to me. I mean, why would you not want a motion to be accurate? Why would you not want a counselor's comments to be there if that counselor wants them there, right? That goes against all of our parliamentary procedures training that we've had. So anyway, I'm just really disappointed in that. That's all.
Thank you. Next up, we have matters from the clerk treasurer, Mr. Torres. What have you got for us tonight?
Mayor, council, so I got a couple things. So we've been getting calls from residents on a certain street asking us to lower the speed limit. So what we are going to do, and I don't know if you all recall, but several years ago the town got in trouble for just changing speed limits. So what we're doing is we are going to send, or we actually sent out a letter today to all the property owners with a simple survey, if you want to call it that, asking them if they would like us to initiate a traffic study on that road for the purpose of lowering the speed. The road is Jane Lane, and if a majority of the property owners come back that say they would like it done, then we'll bring it something forth to you, the governing body, with their study to see if you would like to allocate funding to do that study. So in the past, the COG did our studies. They no longer do the studies. And just so you're aware, the criteria for lowering the speed limit is going to be the percent of vehicles traveling more than 10 miles over the posted speed, the roadways being utilized as a cut-through route where the vehicle volume is significantly higher than the surrounding area would generate, crash history, and if the roadway is designated as an emergency response route. So as soon as we get those results in, we'll be in touch with you.
Mayor, I did want to just mention that I saw that study in the 2016 July or August minutes that I think was from 2015, but it was in the 2016 stuff. So we have had a study, and I remember seeing, the recommended, speed limits.
Yes, Mayor and Council, so the one you're referring to was done, sorry, getting some feedback. It was done in 2016, and there was a whole slew of roads that were on that list, and based upon that, then the speed limit recommendations were made based upon that study. This is just specifically for one roadway that we have some residents calling in for that roadway. So, and if you know of any other roads that you'd like to look at,
Go ahead,
Mr.
Counselor.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
I would like to recommend that we buy our own equipment to do road traffic counts. We used to have one. It's been broken for 50 years. And it's probably time we replace it. And we can just do them without having to go through the expense of having it. Because part of that is having a traffic count is part of our road priority list. So there are lots of reasons, I mean, you know, that we would want to do traffic studies. And I don't think that equipment shouldn't be that much. If we had one at one time, we should be able to get another one.
Fairly noted.
So I would like to recommend we look into actually purchasing one of those and come back within the next 2 meetings with the cost for a decision.
What else you got, Juan?
All right, so we're working with Axom and Verizon to try and get the dash cam system implemented. So the delays on essentially Axom waiting for them to come out and install. So probably, as you can imagine, the majority of law enforcement entities across the country are scrambling to upgrade, and at least definitely the ones in New Mexico are scrambling to upgrade all of their camera systems. So we're tentatively scheduled for the end of November for that. So hopefully they'll get a cancellation, they can get us in sooner. Early voting is going to start in person here on October 17th. It'll start, I believe, in person at the county offices on the 7th, but with respect to town offices, it'll be here starting the 17th and go through the 31st. And also, one of the things the county is going to have is they're going to have a kind of a lockbox, dropbox type thing for people if they have their absentee ballot, where they can bring it in here up to the 31st and put it in that lockbox, and then they'll take them back with them to Santa Fe if they just aren't able to get it in the mail in time. As was mentioned earlier, so the road department, maintenance, James, police department, they all work together to kind of expand the police department's rear parking. So I don't know if you recall, in the back part of the Public Works, there was a bunch of sidewalk that was torn up when the state came through and redid 344. It was just piled up back there, so we used all of that to extend the parking lot for the police department. We requested from the state millings, and they did grant us that, so we'll be getting, hopefully sometime either later this week or early next week, we'll get those millings put down on the police department parking lot. Let's see. With respect to some of the other stuff that was said in the budget, so I'm just waiting for, I know Jesus has some other projects with the dispatch services. He's trying to get that one squared away, because right now our police officers do not have CAD in their units. They're purely on the radios, so we're trying to get that one handled as quick as possible to get them up and running. But as soon as he's done with that, we'll start getting the Encode, the financial transparency portion. Hopefully we'll get that one installed and available for the public. Let's see, the districting, so research and polling, I'm still waiting for their final quote. I did speak with, I spoke with them late last week, and one of the things that they were saying is they'll probably get, once we cut them the PO, give them the authorization, they'll start the process, and then they probably won't get us any designs or any, I guess, options to choose from until the census data comes out. They want to try and hold off on that as long as possible, just to make sure they have the most recent. And if not, they'll revert back to, I think the UNM has Beaver has a 2018 population estimate that they might use. So that's where we are with that. And that's it for now.
Thank you, sir. Matters from the mayor, I don't have anything tonight, so let's move.
Animal Control Officer rank.
Oh, that's right. Mike Ring is leaving us later this month. His last day is, I believe, the 25th? 30th, okay. He's going all the way to the end of the month. Yeah, Mike leaves us after about 14 years here, I think. Yeah, about 14. So we want to wish him well in his retirement, his next endeavors, and thank him for all his years of service. Okay, the next item then is action items. And first one up is a discussion, consideration, action on resolution 2020-19, signatory authority for the Bank of the West account. Counselors, this is something that's come up kind of odd, but we've had this account for years, and we've had everything after the change of administrations in 16, everything went good. Now they've suddenly come along and they need some sort of a resolution granting somebody authority to sign stuff there. And as you can see, be the same three of us that have signatory authority now. So, Mr. Torres, anything you want to add to that?
No, just kind of parrot what you said. You know, with all the bank accounts I've been signing off on, like that CD we have with Bank of the West, you know, I'm signing off and sending it every year to just reactivate it, keep it, you know, renew it. And for whatever reason this year, they're requiring us to have signature authority or a copy of the minutes where we were granted signature authority. And when I look back at the minutes, we didn't necessarily grant signature authority specifically for the account. So tried posing that argument, and they just prefer a resolution. So here's what we have for tonight.
So, council, I'll entertain a motion on it.
Mr. Mayor?
I thought we were changing banks.
No, that's not for this. This is an existing account. The one where they've got a
Oh,
CD
okay.
in there.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2020-19, a resolution authorizing signatory authorities for Bank of the West accounts.
Got a motion? We got a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Resolution 2020-19, a resolution authorizing signatory authorities for the Bank of the West accounts. Do a roll call vote. Start up here. Counselor Jaramillo?
Aye.
Counselor Abraham?
Aye.
Counselor Abrams?
Aye.
And Counselor Holly?
Aye.
Thank you, council. Next item is discussion, consideration, action on resolution 2020-20. And this is a budget resolution authorizing budget adjustments. Mr. Torres, you want to fill him in on this one?
Yes, Mayor, Council, so. No, go ahead. Can you guys still hear me?
We've got some gremlins
Yeah.
in here.
Okay, I apologize. So the first part on this one, this budget adjustment, as you know, we had a police vehicle that was in an accident probably May last, this past May. And the work was one of those that was done right at fiscal year end. So we received the money from the $16,000 we'd received from self-insurance fund at the end of last year, but the invoice and the expenditure and the work was performed this year. So this would just be to offset that amount less our deductible, because the total amount for the vehicle was $17,000. I don't remember exactly. It was a little over $17,000. So this would just be to replenish the police department's vehicle maintenance line item for that money received from the self-insurance fund. The second adjustment is for the long-awaited road design standards.
That Counselor Abrams referred to earlier.
This would include, so moving forward, it would be updated in our subdivision ordinance, in basically all a standalone. I mean, so if anyone wanted to do anything within the town, here are the standards, even the town. So next time we go to upgrade a road, here's the standards we're going to live by, just to make it uniform and throughout the town, and clearly state here's what the town wants. I mean, I know there was some stuff done on the section 16 where they had kind of had some drawings for different types of roads and stuff, but nothing was ever formalized to put into our, and was never put into, you know, with the road department, with planning and zoning, it was never put in any of our other ordinances. So this would be the study that would actually come back and say, hey, here's what the town of Edgewood wants, here's how we want our roadways to look moving forward.
Any questions for Mr. Torres?
Yeah, I was curious, one, is that, do the engineers do that? You choose one, or?
Yes, mayor council, so we would just use one of our contract engineers. And it'll either more than likely be probably, we'll get quotes from Bohanna Houston, and we have one from Bohanna Houston. We'll get another one from Horrocks, who's been working on Church Street, just to try and get them and move this project forward so we actually have standards for the town.
Have we ever helped them? Never?
Well, there's standards inside the subdivision ordinance, but
We're using basically the county standards, sorta, kinda.
Sorta, kinda. Would this include something like what it takes to, what do you call it, when like a neighborhood gets annexed in a private road, like bring it into the town maintenance? Like the standard that is allowed, or that the neighborhood has to bring it up to dedicate, that's what it is, dedicate the road to the town?
right, there's a standard there already in the subdivision ordinance. If this one's added to it, it would provide the standard that they would need to bring it up to in order to try to get it dedicated.
Okay, and then my other question was, I just wanted to make sure that we're not like over-regulating and making things way too complicated for people. So are we gonna be able to have some input on that, and maybe the community have input before the engineers go off and running?
Well, mayor, council, you're definitely going to have input, because this will impact ordinances, and there will have to be public hearings for everything that's
Proposed.
for everything that's proposed. So, yeah, everyone will definitely have their chance for input.
I'm thinking we might want to hear from the public before they start designing.
Well, we can try to seek some input or something, but we ought to let them at least throw a few ideas out there to get the conversation started.
So are these going to be, are we gonna request, we probably have to give them some kind of parameters, right? Do we want them to, instead of us sorta kind of following Santa Fe County, do we want to be more specifically use what Santa Fe County has?
Well, we have what they looked at on section 16, and I think we've got a couple other plans or designs that have come through. I think Norton sent that one in from his old hometown there in California. As much as anything, this isn't like to, require so much the width in that. I think we've got that in the subdivision ordinance. This is where you get those profiles of like two streets coming and going, and then a sidewalk and then a trail, stuff like that, to set that out. And there's been several that have knocked around here over the years. The one there on section 16 went quite a ways on that. But have them come up with something. You also got to take into account there could be like multiples of them in a way. If you've got a nice big wide boulevard or something, it could end up with like, 2 streets in each direction, maybe a trail on each side or whatever. But in a smaller neighborhood, you might end up with just a street going and coming, and maybe a trail or maybe not a trail. But that's what you're kind of aiming at with this one here, is to come up with sort of a design, so when somebody comes along and says, what do you want in the way of streets, you just hand them this and say, here's what we want. Boom, here it is. And there's no big bunch of questions, because we've seen that in the past too. Well, I only want to do this much, and I shouldn't have to do that much. And so you just kind of make it where it's, you come to Edgewood, you want to build a road in this whatever given area, here's how we like to see it designed.
Okay, if we adopt these standards, will like NMDOT be required to follow them?
I don't know if they would be, because, they have their own right-of-ways and stuff. And these ain't so much standards as they are like the design. In other words, it says design standards, but it's more the design. You know, do you want, one lane going one way and one the other way, and then the trails, most people have said they want something in there that incorporates trails. And then, like I
Right.
say, if it's a bigger, more of an arterial, you could put more lanes in it and sidewalk and stuff like that, then the trails. As far as DOT, I think on their roads, they still would call the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how, you know it, Counselor Abrams?
Yeah, state, federal highways, state roads, and, anything that's not dedicated to the town, I mean, this would only apply to roads dedicated to the town.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And probably primarily, speak to like new subdivisions and stuff, where you've already
Right.
got roads and stuff that are in there. It's gonna be kind of tough. If there was a thing where they wanted to bring it in, and then you could say to them, well, okay, so here's what our standards are. You need to get it, brought up to this before we would consider it.
Okay, and one of the things we discussed in the budget meeting too was having like different standards for like gravel roads,
Yep.
private roads, chip sealed roads, paved roads. Is it gonna address each different level
That's
of
a
road?
good question. That would probably be something like, how thick of a asphalt mat do you want? Or how many penetrations of chip seal if you go with that on a road? And then of course gravel is always how many inches thick of like base course or something and how wide. So yeah, I
Okay.
expect that would be answered in there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And I'll make a motion to approve, resolution 2020-20 budget adjustment.
We got a second?
second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Town of Edgewood Resolution Number 2020-20, a budget resolution authorizing budget adjustments. We'll do it on a roll call vote. Counselor Abraham?
Aye.
Counselor Holly?
Aye.
Counselor Jaramillo?
Aye.
And Counselor Abrams?
Aye.
Thank you, Counsel. The last one is discussion, consideration, action on the financial report for the month of August. Mr. Torres.
All right, Mayor, Council, so if you go first to the GRT distribution, you'll see we are still up by comparison. Not as high as we were for May and June, but July was still up. And once again, it's just one we'll just have to kind of continue to monitor and just look and see. I think starting next month, we'll get our additional GRT distribution for the internet sales tax. How Tax and Rev came through and said that they're going to double that until they actually incorporate point of sale, so that should take effect next month. Moving into the payables, the largest one this month, and this one was actually a discounted one, was to New Mexico Self-Insures Fund for our insurance premiums. And if you recall, the league said that they were going to be giving us a 50% on our liability and our workers' comp, so we do have that in there this year. And then I think with respect to the election costs, so we're still waiting for the final invoice from Automated Election Services, and as soon as we get that, then I'll get you a total number for the cost of the election. Yeah, I'll stand for questions.
Council have any questions for Mr. Torres?
Actually, there is
What
one
was
thing.
the publishing for the wastewater system for? What was that?
That's for the permit renewal, so I believe that was to get the signs and to get everything set up for the permit renewal.
Okay. And then, my other comment was gonna be, the the county clerk had said the election would cost about $8,500, and so I thought 8732 was pretty right on. How much more are you expecting?
Mayor, Council, so this was just for automated election services. We just issued the check, I want to say either yesterday or today, for the county, and that was 11,000. I don't remember. It was over $11,000 for the county, and so that just covered the county's cost, the poll workers that were here, and then the canvassing board. The county did not charge us for the additional machine that they had up there or any county staff time. So it was just essentially the poll workers. And we did have a mailing that they tried to do for all of the, I guess they were, I don't know, the ones where their mailing address wasn't there. They sent mail letters to them letting them know that, because it wasn't all mail-in ballot, that they needed an updated mailing address, which, I mean, it was a requirement of law, but I don't understand if you're sending to a mailing address that isn't correct. Of course, no one's going to respond. I mean, I actually had several calls of people who came in and saying, hey, I never got a ballot. I got them in touch with the county, and that was exactly what it was. But, I mean, it was a requirement of the new election law. Everyone kind of thinks it's ridiculous, but, that was the price.
Okay. All right. And then my only
What's
other...
the 8,000 for? Sorry, Counselor. What was the 8,000 for then?
That was for our election. That was for the absentee ballots and the ballot packs that were sent out.
The ballot packs and the postage.
Right.
What it says. So my other comment is, I would like, just like we had to do a bar here to approve additional funding for a road study, I would like to request that in the future, no more EPCOR attorney fees are approved without council approving it. I'm tired of hearing every month that we have spent $12,000 on attorney fees for EPCOR. I think it's time we address what is the limit we're willing to spend on something that the citizens don't want.
Yeah, Counselor, I would agree with you. I mean, that's like my comment. We need to stop the bleeding of the town's money and explore something that they might want.
No other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report for the month of August 2020.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a
Go ahead,
second to
Councilor
approve
Holly.
the August financial report for 2020. We'll do a roll call vote. Start here. Counselor Holly.
Aye.
Counselor Abraham.
Aye.
Counselor Abrams.
Aye.
And Counselor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Calendar review, we got the cleanup free dumpster day this Saturday over here at soccer field. And our next regular council meeting will be October 14th,
The Halloween event?
the Halloween.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Mayor?
Hang on a second, Counselor. So they're putting together an event. Is the PD in on that, Chief? Yeah. And they're going to be, instead of having them come in here and do like the trunk or treat, they're going to be coming through here and they'll be handing out Halloween candy and stuff like that as they make their way through. And what night is that, Chief?
The 30th.
The 30th?
6 o'clock on the 30th. So it'll be a drive-through Halloween event, just so we can still, the kids can still have something, since they can't do the trunk or treat and all that. I don't know, hopefully the orders might change and we can do it, but we're tentatively planning this event just so if the restrictions and everything's still in place, we'll still try and put something on for the kids.
And then, Juan, I just wanted to let you know, well, you probably already know this, Legacy is doing a youth event this Friday night. So hopefully the dumpsters aren't already there, but I don't know how big of a turnout it's gonna be, so we might be fine.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait, I just want to find out, are we gonna do, is the dumpster day gonna be advertised on the sign? Because there were a lot of people said they didn't know about it last time.
We can try that, get it up on the sign for the 26th.
Okay, thank you.
Got a motion to adjourn? Got a
Move
second?
to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. Counselor Holly?
Aye.
Counselor Abraham?
I do have one question real quick. On that Halloween thing, are they taking donations for candy and gifts and stuff like that or not?
I see the chief nodding his head. Go ahead.
So I believe it's,
Okay, where would we donate that to?
Bring it here to town hall,
either
right?
at town hall or at the police department.
Yeah, the PD'd take it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, hang on just a second, everybody.
That all candy has to be in a sealed bag and wrapped. It can't be homemade goods. Everything has to be sealed because of COVID.
Did you hear that? The donations need to be sealed and nothing homemade for the COVID.
Yeah, what about I was thinking gift certificates or something like that. I have a bunch of little individually wrapped trinkets.
I guess you could try them.
Okay,
Counselor Abrams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Counselor Jaramillo?
Aye.
Thank you, council. We are adjourned.
I don't know what it is, but Doug or something, just, I want to